Do you all have advice for people that want to create and do look at you guys? Packy, have you come up with anything of just advice for people to build on some of the things you guys have done to date and ways to stand out?
I mean, I think it's a lot of the things that we've talked about today, frankly. It's find the thing that you're uniquely either qualified to talk about, which might not have been, or at least passionate enough to kind of continue to show up and do the research and do the work and all of that until you can get good. Probably find your own kind of voice and maybe medium, maybe business model. I'd say experiment a whole hell of a lot in the beginning while nobody's watching, which I was lucky enough to be able to do because practically nobody subscribed to the newsletter for over a year. And then like if you can stick with it for over a year without making any money on the thing and you still show up every week and do it and you love doing it that much, I think there's probably something there. But I don't know. I would say there's not a shortcut, and you have to do a just an absolute shitload of work to be able to make it happen. But have as much fun as possible, kind of on the way, and experiment with different things. And to kind of what Ben and I have been saying the whole time, and what Ben's kind of called out, just like find that alignment in the whole thing that you do, the topics that you write about, your own voice, because if you talk in somebody else's voice, it gets even harder to show up and write every day or every week or whatever. And then make sure that kind of the whole stack of what you're doing aligns with things that you believe in and are interested in.
I agree with all those points. I think the most important bit is the bit about making your own pond. Like you that's the opportunity. Like I think, for example, there should be a daily newsletter about every single major tech company. Like there should be a daily Amazon newsletter. There is a daily Apple one. There should be one about Google. There's little stuff that happens that is actually pretty impactful. And an outline where I just put links in of stuff that happens. I have tons of stuff and I try to pull it all in once I'm writing about Facebook. Let me pull in a bunch of stuff that has been building up, or Amazon or whatever it might be. So and what's I think in some respects, Stratechery is a bad example for everyone because I have kind of the dream gig, right? I sit at home and I write about the most popular tech companies that everybody knows about, right? And everyone's like, "Oh, wouldn't that be great?" But it's like I'm like the most competitive market on earth. Everyone has an opinion on the big tech companies, right? Everyone, and so I was lucky that I was early, and so there was no one else doing what I did. But part of that is what you can do too. I identified an opportunity in the market, which was you had all these sites that wrote about products, you had Wall Street that wrote about results, and there was this big gap in the middle that no one talked about. And so that was like sort of the market opportunity that I saw. But just because I'm in that market doesn't mean there's not lots of other markets available, right? And so where if you want to write about the same thing everyone's writing about, you're competing on your ability to generate differentiation on your own, and that's exceptionally difficult, right? And even today, like I now have the benefit of inertia and have been around and have lots of readers, and people give me feedback, which is like its own sort of like superpower. And so if you're just starting out, say I want to write Stratechery 2.0, like good luck. Like I mean, if you want to succeed right with the same stuff I do, your content is going to be so unbelievably exceptional, and even then it's going to be tough, right? And so because I'll just link to you, say, hey, look at this great thing that I wrote, and let me add a couple of things to it. And so that, but you can define, like you get to define your market. This isn't the old newspaper model where I'm the sports columnist in New York and you're trying to take my job, right? Go be a sports columnist in Boston. Go be a sports columnist in LA, right? Like there's lots of opportunities there. That's number one. But then, so it's really define your market. Number two, and this is a life advice in general, you always want to double down on what you're good at. People spend too much time trying to ameliorate their or like take care of their weaknesses or address what it is. I think Packy, you've kind of like you're the best golden retriever on the internet, right? Like you lean into that, right? And I would be terrible at that if I was trying to do that. And this goes back to almost like why I charge less money. Like everything about my life and business is all about, as long as I write 4 pieces a week that are decent, then everything else works out, right? And if I keep up on that, and I try to everything else in my life that I'm not good at or I'm bad at or whatever, I try to outsource for someone else to do, like all those sorts of things. And obviously when you start out, you're doing everything, right? So you have to ameliorate your weaknesses, but you want to find an opportunity and a career and a job that is doubling down on what you're good. And so in my case, just go back to, I read fast, I write fast, and I have a good memory, right? So writing 4 days a week works well for me, right? If you don't have those three things, it's going to be tough to write 4 days, like write every day. And so, but you might have something else that makes sense that works. And so, don't get too hung up on. I think number 3 is, we talked a lot about alignment, and that's why Packy and I are doing very well. I think you don't want to get too hung up on that early. You want to have a direction that you're going, but the biggest danger in life is having like a 5-year goal, which I say as I started struggling with the 5-year goal, but because what's going to happen is you're going to succeed, and you're going to get there and you're going to look around and say, crap, I'm totally in the wrong place. I've been so head down on trying to get to this place. And meanwhile, the world went in a different direction, or there's different sort of opportunities. With the 5-year goal strategy, actually, I didn't have a 5-year plan. I want this to be my job in 5 years. And then we just talked about, there's a lot of adjustments and changes I made along the way. Even, like I said, like ripping out on a weekend, completely changing the format of what the daily update is. That's the approach you want to have. And honestly, people look at what Packy and I do, and this is a challenge because we're both visible figures on the internet. And so it's like, wow, people are jealous. Like, well, that looks so great. That looks so fun. And it is fun. Like, I feel very fortunate that this gets to be my job. It's not so fun when it's Wednesday night at 9 p.m. and my update is supposed to be out 2 hours ago, and I'm stuck, and I just don't know what to write about. And I'm just, like, by sheer force of will, am churning out 1,800 words about something. And not only does it suck, and I feel terrible, but I know I'm going to be absolutely miserable for the next 24 hours. Because when I write something that I don't feel great about, I feel sick, and I just feel horrible. And like, that's not very fun. Like, there's not everything is fun. And now it's balanced out by all the good stuff, for sure. I'm not trying to beg poor here, but I think just observing friends and people in tech, or people in the world, real joy comes from being good at something. And this whole follow your passion business is nonsense. What you are passionate about is what you're good at. And you talk to a 20-year-old, oh, follow your passion. They have no idea what they're passionate about because they have no idea what they're good at. And so your goal in life in general should be figuring out what it is you're uniquely capable of doing. Because if you can do what you're uniquely capable of doing, if you focus on your weaknesses, you double down, you don't waste time, you ameliorate your weaknesses, you double down your strengths, you double down your strengths, you ameliorate your weaknesses, you're going to end up being the best in the world. And being the best, like, I don't know, like, say you're an accountant for fintech startups, but you're the best accountant for fintech startups in the world. Whoever that person is, maybe you know who it is, Logan. I bet they love life, right? And they don't have to be a writer on the internet, which honestly, being a public figure kind of sucks. No one knows who they are, and they're probably making a ton of money, and they love life. Like that's the dream. The dream is being awesome at something. And with the internet, there's so many things that you can be awesome at because the market's so big and it's so broad, that I think the opportunity to have joyous existences is much higher than ever before. And you don't have to do that by writing a subscription newsletter. Like, there's lots of things you could do.